Hi, good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for being here today. It's already 6 p.m. I'm going to give a few more minutes, 3 more minutes for more participants to sign up. Thank you for waiting.
For some reason, it kicked me out, and now that I'm back in, it shows like I'm connected twice. Don't worry.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank you for being here this afternoon. Today, we're going to have a workshop titled Starting Your Online Business During COVID-19. And again, thank you for joining us this afternoon. I would just like to give you a few information if you're having some difficulties to connect or to listen or to hear this webinar. You can click on the page where it says audio connection. You will see a circle next to your to the menu at the bottom, and then you can click on audio connection. It's going to give you some information on how to dial by phone. Again, this webinar is about start your online business, and it will be in English. I would like to give thanks to Commissioner Daniela Levin-Cava, who is the sponsor of this webinar, as well as Bank OCK. Today, we have Diane Mora, founder and CEO of SendChange. She will be our presenter. And my name is Isabel Duchemin. I am a business developer consultant for Prospera. The agenda for this afternoon is we will have some welcoming remarks about Bank OCK by Harold Lopez, VP of Business Development Officer, and Najiri Rionda, also VP Business Development Officer for Bank OCK. We will also talk about who we are, who Prospera is, and what services we offer. Then we will start the workshop, Starting Your Online Business, provided by Diane Mora. We will have a question and answer session at the end of this webinar, just 15 minutes before the end of the webinar. It will be from 6 to 7 p.m. And then we'll also discuss what are the steps to follow after this webinar. So now I'd like to introduce Harold and Adiri Rionda from a bank called CK. Harold and Adiri, are you there? Can you
Yes, we
provide
are.
us some?
How are you?
Thank you so
Good
much for being here today. First of all, thank you for your support to our organization. Thanks to your support, we're able to provide our services to the Hispanic business community at free of charge. So thank you so much for being here this afternoon. I welcome you to provide us with some welcoming remarks, and thank you again for your support.
Thank you so much, Isabel. Thank you, Diane. And good afternoon, everybody. Indeed, Prospera has been for many years an organization very close to our hearts. As I mentioned earlier in the conversation, I had the pleasure of working with Prospera even on my previous financial institution. So I know that with Naji, it's the same feeling. But I want to introduce myself. My name, once again, is Harold Lopez. As mentioned before, I am the Business Development Officer for Banco ZK in Miami Beach. My colleague, Najiri Rionda, she is the Business Development Officer for the Banco ZK at Doral. So pretty much what I would like to say is that many of you might not be familiar with Banco ZK. I've noticed that since I started, but let me give you a little bit of information before we start. I mean, we are a full service bank with a network of over 250 branches operating in 10 different states. We take a lot of pride in providing something similar to a white glove or a concierge service to all of our clients. Banco ZK might be new to South Florida, relatively new to South Florida, but we've been around close to 110 years, and we are headquartered in Little Rock, Arkansas. Aside from the traditional products, such as the checking, the savings, which all the banks have, we have some great consumer products that many of you might be interested in getting information on. But we also offer great options and competitive rates in our CD deposits and our money market accounts. Banco ZK caters to business owners by offering a variety of business accounts to accommodate different sizes of businesses, with the best advantage that all of them come with your online banking, which is very important nowadays, and your mobile deposit. Banco ZK also has many loan products tailored to help both the consumer as well as the small businesses. As a matter of fact, let me just say that one of our flagship products is called Freedom Advantage. In today's environment, it comes in handy. Why? Because it's a very flexible consumer mortgage. It gives the borrower the opportunity to get up to 100% financing without having to worry about paying PMI, or better known as private mortgage insurance. For those that have gone through the process of, having to get PMI, sometimes it could be just an extra burden to the monthly payment. So having that convenience of this Freedom Advantage product has come very much in handy, especially because our main interest is to help low to moderate clientele and to support the low to moderate income areas. While many banks are shying away from offering, for example, home equity lines of credit, which many people have been forced to tap into, Banco ZK remains committed on helping our clients by still offering this product, both on the primary and the secondary homes. Naji, I don't know if you want something to say.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Naji Rionda. As Harold introduced me, I am the Business Development Officer and Manager of the Doral office, which is actually a neighbor from the Prospera office. So I wanted to share something very important. This is a webinar on starting your own business online during COVID. And one of the things that we offer as a bank, we're one of the preferred lenders for the Small Business Administration, which, as we all know, has been instrumental throughout this pandemic. We have a specialized team of lenders that dedicate their time and their knowledge to our clients by offering them advice and guiding them through the process of government guaranteed lending products These products encompass basically, it could be commercial real estate, business lines of credit. It could be also for the purpose of acquisition of businesses, a lot of them being franchises and so on and so forth. We also have the facility, and we have a fantastic team of individuals who are very knowledgeable in the wealth and trust area. And these individuals can assist business owners as well as individuals with asset protection. They can help review investment portfolios, as well as setting up business owners and their employees with 401k retirement tools. One thing that is very important for me to mention to you, we have a dedicated team of treasury management employees, officers who are very in tune and knowledgeable in this area. This area facilitates methods of payments, which for online businesses is very crucial, such as wire transfers, ACH, office deposit, and also added features that protect the funds in your account, such as positive pay. And last but not least, I also want to share that we have a partner which facilitates the merchant services, credit card processing through, you must have heard of, some of you, of First Data that joined with Fiserv, which is a large company in the United States. And that also gives us a facility to pass on the benefits to our clients. And as a matter of fact, if any of you are interested in learning a little bit more about that, we have some great promotions going on with them that can help you save some monies. And last but not least, I want to go ahead and mention what I call the OZK fun fact. Like Harold was saying, it's a bank that has been around for over 110 years, but not only have presence in 10 different states, but what I call the fun facts is we do have an office, if you ever visit New York, at Rockefeller Plaza, which I think is a very neat and unique thing to have. And in addition to that, we also have what is called our OZK Labs, and that is a team of IT individuals and very knowledgeable in developing software and technology for the bank, and pass on the benefit of that technology onto our small businesses. I believe Harold and I are going to stay to the very end of the webinar. And if you have any questions for us, we'll be more than happy to answer those questions and also share our contact information. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Harold and Jerry, for sharing that information. We'll stay until the end for our Q&A session. These are great. I'm sure you will have great questions by the end of this workshop. And then just write down those questions, and then Harold and I will be there to answer them for you. Now we're going to proceed to explain a little bit about our organization. Some of you already know Prospera, but for those who don't, Prospera is a nonprofit organization or economic development organization in Florida. We are located in Miami, in Orlando, in Tampa, as well as North Carolina. We have bilingual staff that specializes in helping Hispanic entrepreneurs wishing to establish or expand their businesses. Our mission is to help start, sustain, and grow the Hispanic-owned businesses to achieve community prosperity. We have a very unique service model. We offer business webinars, such as the webinar that we're having today. Prior to the pandemic, we were providing these webinars in person, but due to the current situation, we're providing these webinars online, which works really well as well, because many of the participants prefer actually to do this online virtually. We also provide workshops or trainings or academies, depending on different subjects, such as export, training academies on technology or marketing. We provide business consulting in English or Spanish for minority businesses, not only for Hispanic-owned businesses, but all kinds of communities. We also provide business grants, which are professional subcontractor services, and I will explain that in following slides. We also award these grants in a monthly basis. We provide information and help with access to capital. Basically, we help business owners to prepare for those applications, to go through different banking or organizations to provide them with the financing that they need to either start their business or grow their business. Before they provide or they access this access to capital, they have the access to capital, some businesses need to work on a business plan. We also help them with that. The types of grants that we offer are legal assessment grant, accounting assessment grants, business plan development, marketing and sales plan, QuickBooks, dedicated consultant, corporate branding kit. I will expand on this. The legal assessment grant, what it usually helps businesses to incorporate. So you would have help with how to incorporate your business or what is the best structure. During an accounting assessment plan, you will have expert advice on accounting. What are the best ways to start your business? And if it's not to start your business, perhaps you have questions, specific questions on better accounting practices. As I mentioned before, business plan development or marketing and sales plan development can really help you grow your business. So those are two of the types of grants that we also offer to grow your business. We also offer grants on QuickBooks dedicated to your own business, and corporate branding kit, which is basically the image for your business for those that are starting. At Prospera, we also provide business loans from $1,000 to $25,000. This is in partnership with Self-Help Credit Union, and we can provide that for startups as well. Many of these loans are also provided to some of the businesses that are owned by non-resident aliens. When I say that, I mean some of these owners don't have to be green card holders or U.S. citizens to have access to these loans. It would be on a case-by-case scenario, of course. And we give thanks again to our annual sponsors. Because we are a non-profit organization, we are able to provide our services free of cost to our clients due to the help from these different annual sponsors, such as Miami-Dade County organizations, Broward County, different private and foundations that provide funds to us, and again, such as Banco CK and the Commissioner Cava, who's also a sponsor of this webinar. With that being said, I'm also, of course, going to stay until the end of this webinar to answer more questions for you that you might have on what Prospera does and how we can help you. But for now, I'm going to pass the presentation to Deanne, who will be providing us with her insights on marketing. Deanne is one of our service providers. She provides and helps us with a marketing and business plan. I want to say that she is amazing and have the privilege of having her here tonight. So I want to thank Deanne for her support. Thank you, Deanne. Now I'm going to pass the privilege to you so that you can present.
All right, well, thank you, Isabel. Thank you, Prospera, thank you, CK, and Commissioner, for the opportunity this evening. I'm going to try to share with you some road-tested strategies on creating or pivoting your business to online. And when we talk about online, we're also going to talk about both products and services, depending on the type of business that you want to start. A little bit of background on me. I spent the first 26 years of my career consulting in corporate America. I was flying all over the world and working with Fortune 500 companies, and then almost 8 years ago decided to launch my own firm, Zen Change Marketing. We have 15 people on our team, and we are a full-service marketing and business firm that is focused on small business. And we've been a Prospera partner for the last close to 6 years. And so work with a lot of Prospera's clients on marketing plans and business plans. So today I want to talk about how to launch your business online or how to expand your business online. We'll start with very briefly why start an online business. There are some very compelling reasons why now is the time. What type of business you might want to consider starting, how to get started, and then of course how to get found when you're online. So let's start with why you should start an online business. Now there's the obvious reasons like social distancing and having total flexibility, being able to wear whatever you want at your desk and not spending money on gas. But there's some less obvious reasons as well. Having an online business allows you to more cost effectively test some of your business ideas. And if you build it in a way that you can generate passive income, then you can help to earn money while you're not necessarily working it every day. The other thing is that now that, when you get into an online world, everything becomes global. So chances are whatever industry you're in, you're facing offshore competition in any case. So it's really important to be out there and to make sure that you're taking your share. There's also some really good economic reasons why having an online business makes a lot of sense. And just a couple of statistics that I'd like to quote for you. Online spend with US retailers grew by 30%, which represents over $60 billion year over year for the first 6 months of 2020. And that we reached a total of over $347 billion for the economy. And that compares to only a 12.7% growth from the year before. So just to make that even more relevant, in the second quarter of this year, $1 of every $5 spent by US consumers was spent online. So clearly some good reasons to get your business out there. And then, when you think about it from the consumer perspective, e-commerce in particular, it gives people what they want. It's convenient, they can shop when they want, it's really easy to compare prices, and they don't feel like they're getting a pressure sale. So why not start an online business? I think it's only fair to show the other side of whether or not you should make this decision. And first of all, it's still a real business. So just because you're passionate about it is not enough to make it successful. You really need to work it just like you would any other business. You still need capital. So there's a lot of tools that are available that you can use to start your business. There's some, many of which are free, but they're usually free at an entry level, and you may need greater functionality. So it's just something to keep in mind that it's not completely free to start an online business. You will need to be prepared to invest something. Also, social media alone isn't enough to get found. It can be a very important part of your strategy, and we'll talk more specifics about the different aspects of your marketing strategy to help you get found. But it's not just enough to put some posts on social media and expect that your business is going to take off. It will take more work than that. It will also, reality check, probably occupy all of your currently free time. So you do need to be prepared to, just like any other type of business, to take it seriously when you launch and to invest the time. You'll see a lot of ads out there these days for coaches and courses and templates and everything that makes it sound like it's absolutely a slam dunk to start your online business. Nothing will replace you actually doing the work. So just prepare your mindset as you prepare to launch this type of business. So now that you've decided that none of the things that I told you against launching an online business are deterring you and you really do want to launch one, let's discuss what type of a business it makes sense to start. And I always like to start with thinking about the trends and where consumers are right now. So since COVID, some of the trends that we're seeing are work from home, everything family size, DIY. So how can you take advantage of this as you're thinking about what type of business to start? So if people are working from home, then chances are they're going to need better technology. They need cameras, they need green screens, they need better microphones. So if that's something that you want to provide, that could be a business. Family sized is more of a big deal because we're not all out grabbing food and everything else. When it's separately, we tend to be more together. So if you are in a business that is helping people to, let's say, have family meals at home in a way that doesn't require them to have their own cooking. So maybe you have a meal delivery service and you're focused on family size. That can be a business. DIY everything. So if you think about whatever you offer as a business or whatever you're thinking about offering, can it help consumers to do something on their own, to perhaps save a little money, but then you can still generate income from that as well. Also, safe at-home entertainment. So if there's anything that that you offer that can help keep families entertained, that would be highly encouraged, as well as home fitness, as many of us are dealing with the after effects of too many COVID cookies, that if there's anything that you can offer that can help people get back in shape or help them to make sure they're making good food choices or good exercise choices in a way that is safe and socially distanced and maybe doesn't require them to go out, that would be something interesting as well. We're also seeing a surge online in anything related to cooking and cocktails. So if you happen to be talented in this regard and want to record some videos and share with people different tips, that can be something that you can turn into a business. If you build a big enough audience, you may be able to attract some advertising revenue to your social media pages from that. And then back to the idea that we're all eating our meals at home together, people are starting to upgrade their cooking utensils and they're looking for an interesting way. I think by this time it's been about 6 months and we're all a little tired of our own cooking, what we're preparing. So anything that can make it interesting, that's also something that is doing well online. And then cheap treats. So when I say cheap treats, I mean things like, maybe we didn't get to take that vacation that we normally take over the summer, but maybe there's something, a little something we can buy for the family, or maybe there's some online clothing that we might be interested in. Those purchases are actually up 76% since COVID. Probably not a lot of pants as much as maybe things on top, but certainly that's an area that is growing. Order value specifically, though, has been down by a little bit more than half. So people are buying more frequently, but they're buying smaller things more frequently. Etsy sales were up 146%. A lot of that was driven by all the homemade masks and household goods, but Etsy can be a really interesting place for you to launch a business as well. If you are launching a product business, an e-commerce business, then just keep in mind that Amazon has completely spoiled consumers in terms of their expectations for shipping. So we are very used to same day, next day shipping. We want it fast. When we order it, we want it there. So when you think about your infrastructure, you might want to think about how to make sure that you're delivering quickly. And we'll talk about some ways to do that as well. The whole concept of buy online and pick up in store is something that is on the rise, as well as anything that's curbside related. In fact, BJ's Wholesale saw a 300% increase in digital growth just from this strategy alone. So now let's look at the different types of industries that are leading the pack from a consumer product goods perspective. And this is in millions of dollars. So in the number one is vitamins at over $7 million. We obviously love our pets because those pet supplies and pet food occupy the next two categories. And skincare and coffee are also good. Weight control is a big one. And in fact, that'll probably go up. And those are followed by cosmetics, fragrances, and hair products. So these are the top of the demand curve, if you will. So there's pros and cons to being there. The pro is there is a lot of demand. The con is there's also a lot of competition. So if you do decide to tackle one of these industries, then figure out a way that your business can go niche in terms of its message and the problems that it solves. So what are some of the online trends that we're seeing in COVID that are service related? So first of all, online learning. That's a big area that is really growing now. And probably if you're an expert in something, then there could be an opportunity for you to develop an online training course, and that's not that expensive to create. Take inspiration from some of the big online courses or websites like Coursera, Udemy. Masterclass is they're doing a really great job of growing their market based on interviewing experts about their basically sharing their expertise. Some of the hot topics that you'll see are food blogs and tutorials, and then consulting. So is there a way that you can offer whatever it is that you do online over Zoom and charge for it? You could be an affiliate seller. So being an affiliate seller means that you're going to produce a lot of content, you're going to build an audience, you're going to talk, write, make videos for other brands in exchange for affiliate sales, where essentially if someone buys products on their site through your link, you get a commission. You can also create content. So if you're good at that, whether it's writing or graphic design, there's a lot of businesses right now that realize that they need to create more online content and they may not have the resources in-house. So that could be an opportunity. You could be an online tutor. If you're in healthcare, you could offer your consults via telehealth. There are many different platforms that you can use to do that. If you're an attorney, you can offer online consults. And if you're technical, there's a lot of people in need of remote IT support these days as they're trying to figure out their whole online environment. So that may be an opportunity as well. So I wanted to ask a couple of questions, just another reality check. And regardless of how you answer, both answers are okay. It's just important to be self-aware in terms of what you're starting. So the first question is, are you starting a business or a hobby? So here's how to tell. A business is something that actually makes money. It is unit profitable when you consider your hours. So it's not only a labor of love, it is something that can be profitable. And at some point, you could consider hiring someone to do what you do. Now, you might think, oh, but I'm an artist. There's no way that somebody else could do what I do. I encourage you to Google. I don't know if you're familiar with Chihuly, with Dale Chihuly, who is the famous glass artist. You'll see a number of his pieces around South Florida. But he doesn't actually make his own pieces anymore. He kind of directs a team, and they're actually doing all the tough work. So he may do some of the finishing, but he's able to magnify his output by using a team. So if an artist can do it, then you can do it as well. You just need to think a little bit more creatively about your business. The next question is, are you starting a business or is it a job? So, and both, again, are okay as long as you realize what you're doing. So the difference is a business can scale. It also can hire other people. And here's the kicker, it can make money when the owner is on vacation. So a business has the ability, probably not from the start, but at some point to make money without you. It takes on a structure and a life of its own in a sense. So again, either option is fine, but it's important to just recognize what you're starting from your expectations. So now let's talk about how to get started. And I'll take you through a business launch checklist in order to give you some insights into how to get going. So, or in the words of Walt Disney, quit talking and start doing. So let's start with taking a look at the profit potential of the business. So a good place to start, as Isabel mentioned, is a business plan. And a business plan is something that you want to make sure that it can be either formal or informal, but you want to have one in place regardless. And you'll want to ask all of these questions of yourself as you're starting a business, even before you create a formal document. So if you're a Prospera client and you're a Hispanic-owned business, then you may even qualify for a business plan grant, which is just a wonderful program to help you either launch or pivot your business, and something I highly recommend. But even though, regardless of whether you have the document, just thinking through all these questions now is important, because changing any of them later gets expensive. I think that that startups have kind of glamorized the term pivot, But a pivot is a change, and a big pivot can be expensive. So really thinking through, what are we going to sell? How am I going to sell it? Am I going to have a website? Am I going to sell in a marketplace? What are my strengths? How am I positioned against the competition? Do that legwork yourself, at least, to get a sense of whether your idea is viable before you move forward in terms of in spending anything on it. The other thing, people sometimes shy away from financials, and I believe it's incredibly important for any business owner to own their financials. That's not something that you can delegate. You can get help. You can hire a CPA, you can hire a bookkeeper, you can hire consultants to give you advice, but you do need to own your financials. You need to understand the financial drivers of your business. And you can do some quick back of the envelope calculations before you start that really aren't scary, but will give you a good sense of whether the business that you're starting can be viable. So the first thing to look at is your unit revenue. So this is simply how much am I going to charge for the product or the service that I'm thinking of offering, and how many of those things do I think I can sell? So if I'm selling, let's say it's an e-commerce store and I'm selling products, what is the average order size that I think someone might buy, and how many orders per day do I think I might sell? At this point, it may be a guess, but at least put an estimate down. If it's a service, then look at what are the different service packages or individual unit services that you think you can sell. And when you're contemplating what your price should be, services are all about selling time. And if you're launching a business, chances are it's your time. And entrepreneurs are notorious for undervaluing their time. So again, thinking about the opportunity to scale, you need to look at, if I were to hire someone to do what I'm doing, how much would I need to pay them, and how much would I need to charge in order to make that service viable? So that's part of looking at your cost on the services side. On the product side, then it's doing a little research to say, how much would my materials be? Or if I'm to buy something from someone else and resell it, for what cost can I buy that input, so I can figure out how much is what I would need to sell it for. Is that viable? Do I make enough money in order to support a business? And now that's at the sort of the gross level or at the unit level. You also need to look at your operating expenses, because every amount of profit that you make on your products or services needs to go toward paying all of your operating expenses, and then what's left over is what you get to keep. So think about whether it's rent, utilities, equipment, supplies, any consultants, any help that you might need, the cost of your website, marketing, travel, parking, whatever it is. Just come up with some rough estimates so that you'll know what are the costs to run this business, and you can figure out how many units of that product or service you need to sell in order to make that profitable. And when you're first starting out, I really encourage you to go as lean as possible on your expenses. So maybe don't rent an office just yet. Maybe hold back and see how much you can do virtually. I think we've all seen through COVID that there's a heck of a lot you can do virtually, and you really need to think twice before investing in an office, because once you get into a long-term lease, that can be somewhat challenging at times to manage if your sales start to dip for any reason. Okay, so let's talk about how do you assess your market demand. And there's a number of tools that are out there that you can use as input to this. But even if you're, regardless of what kind of business, I recommend that you do a little local testing or start local. You may have a product or a service that you say, well, I can deliver this nationally, which is great from a scale perspective, but everything national has more expense as well. So you're going to need to market nationally. Your footprint is going to be national or international, maybe something that you can even deliver that's global. But let's start looking in your own backyard and figure out, what it's going to cost you in order to promote it here. and whether it's viable here, and then expand. One of the things that you can do to just figure out where the trends are in the industry that you're interested in is go to Google Trends, and I'm assuming that we'll be able to share this presentation afterwards, but if not, you can literally Google Trends, and you can enter different keywords, and it will show you how many people are searching for those terms. So it just gives you a sense of demand, and it's really interesting, especially to search some of these terms and watch the curve through COVID and just see how things have changed. There's also free keyword plugins that you can get for your browser. One is called Keyword Surfer. And again, you can Google that, add it to your Chrome, and then as you're entering search terms in Google, it will show you other things that people have searched for and about how many searches there have been. So that, again, gives you a bit of an idea of demand. You can also go to Google Keyword Planner, and you can assess competitiveness and popularity of different terms. So again, just because something has a lot of demand, it also probably has a lot of competition. So what you're looking for when you look at these terms is, where is there a niche for me? So just as an example, I pulled, if you can see in the top right-hand corner of the screen, because I was interested in how much we all love our pets, it seems, and want to spend money on them. I thought, well, what is trending? What if I wanted to start something pet related? And I did a little research, and I found that it seems personalized dog collars might be something interesting. There's a lot of value there, a lot of searches. And so then I did a little bit more research and thought, okay, so how competitive would it be to try to be found for something related to personalized dog collars? And so you'll see in the bottom right corner here that there may be some opportunities in engraved dog collars and custom dog collars. So as you do this type of research, you start to get a sense for, how might I position my business? What kind of content could I potentially create in order to be found? And this is all something that you can DIY to start with. If you need at some point to get some help, do that. But I think it's important to at least start to get a sense of for yourself as to the demand for your business. So another thing that you can do when assessing market demand is go on social media. On each of the social media platforms, you can search for that particular keyword. Let's say it's personalized dog collars, and just check and see who's selling those and what kind of conversations are being had about those particular search terms. Does it seem like there's a lot of interest? Do I think that if I opened my own online store that I would be able to effectively compete with who I'm seeing out there? And search Google as well for industry sales reports. There's so much research that you can get for free online. There's tools out there that, again, are free. A lot of them are, they're free for certain reports, but then they want you to pay later, but you can at least get some free ones to start with. I've added a couple of examples here. Statistica.com and commonthreadco.com will give you industry and sales data that can be very helpful. Okay, so now that we've talked about the profitability of your business, and we know we've got market demand, and you know that you've figured out a way how to differentiate yourself, now let's look at, dive a little bit more into that differentiation. So there's different ways that you can differentiate your product or service, different strategies, if you will. The first is customer service. So think Zappos. They went all out on customer service and developed their name that way, and subsequently got acquired by Amazon, so that worked out pretty well for them. But they've still retained, even with their own website, that reputation for just going above and beyond on service. They may not be the cheapest shoes and clothes out there, but you know that you feel confident that you'll get the support. If you need to return something, there won't be an issue. So that's their niche. Or their strategy. The second opportunity is to go niche and personal. So a lot of, especially if you're starting a products business, Amazon's a really formidable platform that you could certainly be on. I'll talk about that in a moment, but it's also a strong competitor. So you think about, why would somebody buy directly from my website and not buy from Amazon? Well, they're going to buy from you because you're going to deliver a more personalized experience, or you're going to deliver a more personalized product. Maybe you're private labeling something. So you really need to think about, whatever it is that you want to sell. If it's available in that exact same form on Amazon, it's going to be tough for you. But if there's a way that you can really personalize and separate yourself from something that is more transactional on Amazon, then you have a business opportunity. So think about, is there a way that you can customize, again, for a premium? So another common pitfall that I see a lot of business owners get into is that they'll offer something customized or special or extra, but then they won't charge any extra for it. And over time, that's just not scalable. So if you're going to offer something premium, you do need to charge a premium. Be socially responsible. So more and more consumers are, they're really interested in what kind of a company are you? Are you, for everything I buy, you're giving a certain % to charity, or I buy one and you give one. There's many different models for socially responsible companies, but that can be a way to differentiate yourself as well. Some companies choose to differentiate based on price. That can be risky because you'll never negotiate better deals with your suppliers than Walmart will. So just be really careful about going down that particular path. Okay, so then the question that business owners often ask is, should I sell through a marketplace? And marketplaces, you'll see the examples on the top of the screen on the right. Marketplaces are like Amazon. So Amazon does not stock all of its own inventory, and it does not pay for all of its own inventory. It does have some products that it stocks and owns before they sell, but they are a marketplace of sellers. And you can either sell on Amazon and you can ship, or you can sell on Amazon and you can have Amazon ship for you. You send them your inventory. They do charge you a fee for that, of course, but that does give you the opportunity to get into the much coveted buy box, which will allow you to really expand your sales opportunities. So a lot of customers, I don't know about you guys, but I have Prime with Amazon, so I filter everything I buy on Prime. I don't even want to look at things that are on Prime because that's the way that I want to receive my deliveries. I want them quickly. So that's another reason why you might want to consider having Amazon fulfill some of your products in order to do that. Now, you do need to look at, depending on your product category, the costs that what you'll pay them varies. But again, they have a really large share of the e-commerce market. So depending on what you're selling, it can also be really good brand exposure for you as well, to just have some of your products sold on Amazon and then also have them available on your website. Because some people will, if they're finding a hard time seeing all of the selection on Amazon, they'll just look for you and they might Google you because they saw your name on Amazon. And as long as it's not going to cost them any more, they might be willing to buy from you directly. So another question that I get quite frequently is, which platform should I use to build my e-commerce store? And my recommendation for both digital and physical products is Shopify. The reason being is that one, they're a really strong company. They have great service. They're not that expensive to build on. You don't need to be technical. You can apply one of their templates. You can have your store live over a weekend if you want. So it's a really quick way to get up and running, and it's pretty easy to maintain as well. There's, performance-wise, they are making sure that the website runs quickly, which is really, really important for an e-commerce business. And they have a number of integrations. So you can easily integrate Instagram shoppable posts as an example. And you can sell digital downloads. So if you are selling some sort of a guide or whatever your online product is, that can be something that you can sell through Shopify as well. If you're selling online training, then there's a really nice environment called Learn Worlds that you might want to take a look at. There are some templates that you can use, and it kind of depends on the level of license that you have with them, the features that are available. but it allows you to set up a masterclass-like environment where you can either give a coupon to give some courses away for free. You can have others that are paid. You can sell an all-you-can-eat package. So there's all sorts of different options, but it's oriented around training modules where you would ideally upload a video and potentially a PDF and materials that will lead people through your training class. And that's something that you can create. And once you start to drive traffic to it and continue to nurture it, that is one of those businesses that can make money while you sleep. For non-e-commerce businesses, I recommend WordPress. It is the most popular content management system on the market. It's very well known. A lot of people know how to work with it, so you're not going to be stuck with one particular developer. It does take a little bit more effort to set up properly than, let's say, a Wix might be, but SEO-wise, it will serve you better in the long run. So my recommendation is, if you need to start something a little bit smaller, I would rather do it right and have fewer pages than have something that you're going to have to redo later on. All right, so now you've done all of these things and you need to figure out what are you going to call your business. So there's different ways that you can figure out what your name should be. There's a number of factors, because if you're online, people are going to search for your business. Ideally, you'll come up. So if you consider a keyword as part of your name, that might actually help you to be found. Another consideration is making sure that whatever name you choose or whatever tagline is easy to pronounce in multiple languages and also doesn't have an alternate meaning. A couple of my favorites of big brands who messed up were Pepsi's slogan, Pepsi brings you back to life. When they debuted Pepsi in China with that slogan, it was literally translated in Chinese as Pepsi brings you back from the grave, which is quite a feat for a can of soda. And then Electrolux, which is a Swedish company, when they first entered the US market with their slogan, it translated into English as nothing sucks like an Electrolux, which is catchy, but may not be exactly what they were going for. So there's a number of, considering global is very important. There's a number of resources that you can use as you're coming up with your name. GoDaddy has a domain search function, so you'll want to make sure that, can you register your name? So check your name on Sunbiz. Check on GoDaddy to see if you can get the domain. Check if you're trying to find other ways to say something. You can go to thesaurus.com and just brainstorm some different terms there and then put them into GoDaddy into different combinations and see what you can come up with as a name. And then when you come up with your short list, Google that name. And the reason that I suggest you do that is that if a larger brand has that name or a similar name that does something else, so you might be able to register it legally, but if they're putting a lot into their marketing, it might be really hard for you to rank for it online. And you always want to make sure that you're easy to be found, at least for your own name. So that would be a good place to start. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about compliance. I'm just going to kind of breeze through this, but one of the things you want to make sure is that you've got the right legal and business structure and the right financial structure around your business. And that's where, again, Prospera can be incredibly helpful to guide you and potentially help you to do that. Make sure that you've got all the paperwork in place, because again, this is one of those things that if you don't pay attention to it now, it can get kind of expensive later to try to fix it. All right, so let's talk about sweat equity. So sweat equity is essentially what you need to put into a business when you don't have the cash to buy everything yourself. So sweat equity basically means doing the work. And the more that you can do yourself at the beginning, the more you'll save. But you need to balance that also with, if something is going to take an inordinate amount of time for you to do and is just a really super steep learning curve, that is going to take you away from selling, then you might want to hire somebody to do that. Because when you're starting a business, your number one job is to be the salesperson for that business. So that's really where you need to focus a lot of your time. And as comfortable as it might be, scrolling away, doing some of the things that are kind of fun to learn, it might be better to make that decision and say, I'm going to focus on driving revenue to my business, and I'm going to get a little bit of help for some of these other things. Now, that said, one of the most fun things about being an entrepreneur is that you get to learn all sorts of new stuff. So push the envelope there, but don't push it so far that it becomes a waste of your time, and it would be better to get help so that you can help grow your business. And then the next thing I want to talk about is some of the getting found online. So the first is having a great website. And this is one of those topics that I think I could probably spend an entire webinar on. So I will just breeze over some of the high points. I do have a free resource on our site, on our website, which is zenchange.com. If you go to our web development page, you'll see you can download an ebook that's called 5 Things Your Website Must Have. So if anybody is interested in that, you can check that out. It goes into this in a lot more detail, but essentially your website really needs to be a balance of art and science. So the art part is it needs to look good, it needs to convert, which means that when somebody goes there, they want to feel like they should buy from you, they should contact you. So there's something interesting, there's something compelling for them. And the science part is it needs to perform. So it needs to be quick. In fact, Google likes websites that load in 3 seconds or less. And it needs to have the code behind the website so that Google can understand what you do. But when you're building your website, you want to make it very clear right from what we call sort of the hero banner. So I've shown you some examples here. What it is that you do. There should be no question when somebody comes to your website the type of business that you're in. You want to also repeat your call to action in multiple places, especially down your homepage. People get very lazy, especially on mobile. They don't want to scroll. So as you're delivering your message on your website, you should have that call to action, that buy button in several places down the page. And then remember to create a message that is relevant to your audience. This is about them, how you can help them, make them successful, make them the hero, if you will. And this is not all about how great you are. If anybody is on this webinar is interested in a complimentary technical and brand story review of their website, then reach out through Prospera, and that's something that we would be more than happy to provide as well. Social media is another one of those topics that I think could occupy an entire webinar, but I'll hit on some of the high points here as well. So first, the pages themselves need to look good. So just like your website needs to be something that if somebody went there, if they were networking, if they found you through some other means, they need to feel like they want to engage with you. The same goes for your social media pages. So they need to be visually pleasing. And they need to be maintained. So if someone that they know, people know that they'll go to your website and see what you do, but they want to go to your social media and learn a little bit more about who you are. And if they go to your social media and your last post was a year ago, then they may wonder if you're still in business. So that's something that it's really important, especially in these times, to keep up. You'll also want to make sure that you have consistent branding across your website, across your social media. So that means pick your colors and stick to them, have a nice logo, think about the types of pictures, the types of images that you want to display, and that should be consistent across all of your online audience. And then it's not enough to just post on social media, you also need to engage. And in fact, the algorithms of the platforms reward you for that. So the more that you can be connecting, liking, following, joining groups, inviting other people to connect, all those things are going to help you to get found over time. Okay, and then content is something else that is really, really important when you're trying to get found online. And when you're starting out, this is something that you can build a lot of content for free, but more really is better. There's an expression that I'm sure you've all heard, content is king, and it truly is. So when you, types of content can include writing blogs, can include content that you would put on your social media. It can include starting a podcast, which is actually a lot easier than you think. And it can include video. So consider that Google actually owns YouTube. So when you search for something online, a lot of times videos will perform really well on search. And especially, I think, through COVID, people are not expecting super high, amazing quality video anymore. They know that everybody's working from home. So if you wanted to just set up a camera and record videos that answer common questions that you receive in your business and post those on your YouTube channel, post them on your social media, add them to your website, that's the type of thing that can help you to get found. So I strongly encourage videos and blogs. The other thing that you want to consider is never copy content online. There's clearly intellectual property reasons why you don't want to do that, but Google will also penalize you for duplicate content. So if you see something that you think of what your interpretation of that would be, and write something original. And when you do write something, let's say a blog, post it on your website first, and let Google index it on your website. So that basically means that the bots have crawled your website and they've recorded that page as belonging to your website. Once it's recorded against your website, if another website tries to use it, they're the ones who get penalized for duplicate content. But you also want to have your articles on your LinkedIn. LinkedIn is getting crawled all the time by Google. So if you post on LinkedIn at the same time as your website, LinkedIn's going to end up getting the credit. So you want to post on your website. And then once you Google the title of the blog, and when you see that your blog comes up on your website, then you can add it to LinkedIn as an article. And the last item that I think is super critical and probably the most important thing for you to do as your business is to network. Network, Prospera provides great opportunities for you to connect with other business owners, connect with your local chambers of commerce, with other networking organizations. You know, all of them right now are doing what we're doing tonight. They have webinars, they're doing everything online. You don't need to get out of your home to go and network. And in fact, you should be networking more because the opportunities are even greater. And all these other things that you can do to help your business be found, they're not even going to come close to the benefit that you'll receive from networking. So that's my number one recommendation as your top source of leads, is to make sure that you develop a really good network of resources around you. It truly will pay off. Let me talk for just a minute about how to get found. I think we're looking at time. I probably won't have time to go into this in great detail. This is essentially all the details behind the recipe, if you will, for all the things that should be part of your marketing plan. We call it the marketing growth circle. I'll just hit the highlights, and then also we have another ebook on our website at zenchange.com that goes into this in a lot more detail, if you're interested in that as a free resource. But essentially, the marketing growth circle outlines the strategy and the order in which you really should undertake marketing activities in order to be found, starting with your clients who are at the center of the circle. You want to make sure that you're getting referrals, testimonials, upsell, cross-sell from them. Wrapped around that is people you know. So you want to make sure that people in your network know what you do and can refer others to you or potentially become a client themselves. And then people you don't know, you have both the strategic and the tactical. The strategic is investing in content and making those connections online so that over time you will be found organically without having to pay for it. People you don't know, tactical, means paying to get in front of your audience, which still can be a great part of your strategy, But if you haven't built that strategic part of the circle, then you're always going to be a slave to paying more and more and more and more to get people to find you. So you really need a combination strategy of build up that organic content. And then if you want to speed up the process, then yes, go ahead with paid ads, but not one versus the other. So all of these aspects of the marketing growth circle really need to be done, but you don't need to pay for somebody to do everything. There's a lot of things here that you can do on your own, but just be conscious of if you were to jump right into an ad campaign and you haven't taken care of making sure that you've got a great online presence that will help people to convert when they come back to your website, then chances are your online campaign won't be successful. So anything that you do, they say you get what you measure, and it's really important to be able to measure your results of your activities. From a financial perspective, when you have an online business, whether it's product or service related, you want to measure your revenue, your cost, your profit, as well as your customer lifetime value. How long are people staying with you? Are they buying more than one thing? That's important because if you do decide that you want to run a paid campaign, you don't want to pay more to get a customer than the value of the customer that you'll retain. So that's an important thing to measure. Looking at your sales success, your conversion rate is, of the leads that I get, how many of them do I close and become an actual customer? What is the value of an order? That's something that ideally you'd like to see that increase over time. Your abandon rate is how many people come to buy something from you and then change their mind. And these are all things that your shopping cart can measure for you. Inventory is probably the #1 Achilles heel of any e-commerce business, trying to make sure that you're managing that properly. So ensuring that you've got a really solid inventory system is really, really important. But measure what are your top sellers, what are your bottom sellers. And just like you'll see retail stores will clear out their end of season and any of their bottom sellers so that you can focus more of your space, because unless you're doing all this out of your garage, you'll at some point have to pay for someone to house your inventory. So you want to make sure that that inventory is churning on a regular basis and you're making money from it. With social media, you want to measure your number of followers and how much engagement, which is how many comments, likes, follows are you getting on your content. And then in paid marketing, you want to measure your customer acquisition cost. Again, that goes back to comparing that against your customer lifetime value. Your acquisition cost is how much did I pay in order to acquire that customer, and is that worth it? And then also look at your sales by traffic source. So which of whatever the strategies that you're using for your business are the most when you're sending emails, you want to look at how many people are opting in to receive emails, how many people are opening, how many are clicking. That gives you a sense as to how interesting your content is. And then also make sure that you're measuring your customer satisfaction. Let me leave you with just one last thought before we get into to Q&A. And it's a quote from one of my favorite marketers, Seth Godin. If you use your money to build exceptional products and services, you won't need to spend it on advertising. Your best form of marketing is word of mouth. So whether you're starting or pivoting a product or services business, make it great. I hope you've found this to be valuable. And again, thank you for spending with us this evening. And I think we could have any questions.
Well, thank you so much, Deanne, for such a good presentation. I hope that all participants enjoyed this workshop. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. And then we do have a few questions here, so I'm going to go ahead and back to my presentation. I wanted to add something to what Deanne mentioned. She mentioned the marketing growth circle, right? And that's a great point because it's about growth. It's about starting your business, and then little by little you start to grow that circle. not only for new referrals, new ideas, but even your own business. You can start small and then start adding lines of products or lines of services depending on what your idea is. It is a good idea to start with a business plan, as Diane mentioned. Ask all the questions on that presentation, which I will share. If Diane, are we allowed to share your presentation?
Yes, please do.
I will email it to the participants tonight, and it's really important to have those both worlds of marketing and finance. I think it's a great combination when you ask yourself, okay, what am I selling, and would this work? But ask it from a marketing perspective and finance perspective. So that's why we also have Banco CK here to answer questions for you if you have any questions on merchant services, etc. How to add those two worlds. So, and we're here to help you, Prospera, to understand that more. I'm gonna start with a few questions already in the Q&A session. 1 second. So from the Q&A session. Okay, I have a question, Deanne. Would WordPress work to sell services and schedule appointments?
Yes. My recommendation there is you can build your WordPress website to focus on your content and describe your services. And then there is you can plug in very easily a little bit of code from a tool called Calendly.com. There's different levels of Calendly. And again, there's other competitors out there. I'm just sharing what we've used and what we work with. But there is a level of Calendly where you can actually have people pay for appointments as they book. So that's, if you choose to prepay, that can be a nice way to make sure that as you're, when you get into a call, you know that somebody's already paid for it. So you can add your Calendly link to anywhere. You can add it to the footer of your email signature. You can add it to your WordPress website, and then that will allow you to sell your time.
Great. So basically, you can integrate those two websites. So two different companies.
Yes, yes. So if you go to Calendly.com and you can set up an account, and the free level doesn't allow you to charge for appointments, but they do have a paid level. I can't remember exactly how much the license is, but it's not that much. And you can set up so that you can charge for your appointments. You can also combine calendars. So if you have other people on your team and you want somebody to, let's say they need to book and 2 people need to be available at the same time, then it will find the available times, and it just presents your availability. So people don't get to see the details of what's in your calendar. So you're essentially linking Calendly to either your Outlook or to your Google Calendar. And then it's just showing free busy. So it'll come up with time slots. And if you say, I want to this particular service to be in a 1-hour increment, then it will just present to somebody the available 1-hour increments, and they can book that time. So it allows you also, if you want to just block out some time on your calendar that you don't want people to book, you block it out, and then those options won't show up for someone. So that's as simple as a link. And you can make that a button. Like, let's say on your website, you have a describe your service, and you have a little button that says book now, and that book now would take somebody over to your Calendly where they could book the appointment and pay for everything.
Okay, right. Deanne, what is the budget that business owners or entrepreneurs should have to take into account when developing an online business, let's say to start, for example, a product versus services? What is the cost of developing a website and plus online presence, meaning marketing, developing a marketing campaign? What should businesses think should set aside for that?
I think it depends. Answer. So, I mean, if you're selling a product, part of your investment is your inventory. which you'll until you know what sells, you want to keep that as small as possible. Even if it means that initially you're going to have to pay more per unit because you don't know what's really going to sell yet. You want to get stuck with it. So inventory is going to be a part of it, and then going back to that I showed you of getting a sense of numbers, those operational costs, those will be highly variable as well. But let's say you want to do something, from home, then you don't need to pay for office. Let's say you're fortunate enough to also get a grant from Prospera that helps you with the business plan and helps you with some of the accounting to get that all set up. And you decide that you want to do a lot of DIY. You can start, let's say, a Shopify website on your own, and their licenses are like around $30 a month. And they have templates that you can add to the site or just use one of their basic ones. But some of the upgraded templates are really nice. And those are usually less than about $200 one time. And then if you want to go through the effort yourself of creating all the content on your website and making it look good and doing graphic design, if you're handy with that, and adding all your products, then that's pretty much your only cost until you go to sell. And you can plug in either their native merchant account, which, depending on who the merchant is that you're working with, it's going to be somewhere in the 3-4% range, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, depending on your volume. But then of course you're only paying when you sell in that case. If you have an external merchant account, then that's something you want to make sure that you understand, what's the monthly cost for that merchant account versus the percentage. So that's where knowing your numbers comes in, because you'll go back and you'll say, okay, well, I think I'm going to sell this many units. And therefore, if that's my revenue, then, under option A, my percentage merchant fee would be this much. Under option B, it's this much. And you make the comparison, you do the math, and you see which one looks better. If you wanted to get help, let's say if it's a Shopify or a very small WordPress site, then you could start somewhere around the $1,000 range and have it turnkey, with somebody do all the content and the and build for you. If you are able to DIY your social media, then you're going to save there, but then you also want to make sure it's effective. So maybe you spend a few $100s in some training so that you can do it yourself, or you spend a few $100s a month to get somebody to do it for you. So back to that growth circle, I think it depends on how much you're able to do yourself versus where you're going to need help, what your investment is going to be. But while you're still testing the market and making sure it's viable, try to keep your costs as low as you can. Maybe get some help with building the right foundation and see if you can do more of the ongoing management yourself. And then when you get to the point where your revenue makes sense that you hire some help, then it really does make sense as a business that you spend that money.
Great. Thanks, Ian. And to answer a question from Christina, she's asking, and this is very, very common for startups, is you have so many ideas and you don't know where to start. And you think that all of your ideas will generate revenue. But she asked, what is a good process of elimination of, okay, I have 5 ideas and I think all of them would work, but how can I help myself to define which one would be the best idea out of those 5? Any advice?
Yeah, that's a great question. So part of, right, it's like the $1 million question, because do you land on that one thing that is going to be the next Facebook, or do you land on a dud? Part of the analysis is also, this is your business, it's your livelihood, it's something that you're going to be spending a lot of time doing. So if the only criteria that you're looking at is what's going to make me the most money, then you're looking at the wrong thing, because being an entrepreneur is a passion as well as a business. And in order to do it well, you really do need to invest a lot of your heart and soul in it to get it going. So that is definitely, although it's hard to put a dollar value against that, that certainly should be one of the criteria. And then I would go through that little back of the envelope analysis that I showed you at the beginning of the presentation and just run some rough numbers on the different scenarios and see, I mean, at this point, you know, if you start a business and it turns out that that business is going to make you $30,000 a year and, you know, not have a great opportunity to scale, but you're going to love every minute of it and you're happy making $30,000 a year, do it. I mean, that's really, you just need to recognize what you have and not overinvest in what you have. If, on the other hand, it's making 30,000 today, but you've got a plan that, you know, in a few years you're going to be at $1 million, that's a different scenario. And again, you're conscious of that. So you may be making more investments today because you're trying to scale something. I do encourage you to just surround yourself with experts, because there's a lot of people who've been down this road before. You know, the Prospera team can be super helpful. The consulting that they provide is amazing. You can get external consultants and coaches. You know, we help a lot of small businesses with just having calls and giving them advice and helping them to sort through all of those different options to get them on the right track, because it can be kind of overwhelming, especially if maybe you're leaving another job to be an entrepreneur for the first time. There's a lot to it.
There's a lot to it. Thanks, Leanne. And to add to that question is, for example, when I try to do a process elimination, I usually put a weight on the importance of a category. So I put an idea and I list different reasons why or categories for that idea, and then I put a weight of importance. So what's more important for me? My family, my education, my work, how much time am I willing to put into this business? And then you put a weight, what is more important for you? You list all your ideas, and then you will come up with, let's say, an answer from 1 to 10 for each of those categories. And then at the end, you will also see which one you can start eliminating. It's not only, of course, about revenue, but about how much time you're willing to put into doing what you want to do or what you love to do. And then how much time are you willing to sacrifice to start your own business? Because it will take a lot of time and effort, but
it will take what you think. It will always take what you think. And one of the things about being an entrepreneur is that you never, I remember I interviewed somebody on my podcast a while ago, and they came up with a really great quote. They said, for an entrepreneur, there is no off button. And that is true, but it's not because it's different than when you're doing something for someone else. There's no off button because you're always thinking of the next idea and what can I launch and what can I do next and how can I get this deal to happen and, you know, what's my next thing? It's because it's fun. I mean, if, you know, as long as you can build that foundation so that you're making a living out of it, I mean, it's a lot of fun. It takes time because you want to spend the time. That's the other thing.
Absolutely. So Harold and Najiri, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We really went over the time, but all the information was really interesting. I wanted to know if you wanted to add or expand a little bit on the difference before we end the workshop, of course, the difference between merchant services and treasury services, or maybe not the difference, but a bit more of definition on that. And then we can thank you also for your sponsorship.
Thank you so much. I can elaborate a little bit on the merchant services. And merchant services is basically the ability for you to
We lost Najiri.
I believe so.
Harold, would you like to
No, by all means.
Just to expand.
No, by all means.
Why online businesses need both.
To be honest, in an era where you have all these different applications, when it comes to using, you know, the ability to send money, make payments, and things like that, I mean, having the merchant services on your side is very important, and it never ceases to amaze me how important it is to get a second opinion. Many business owners currently have a merchant service provider, but when they're so used to paying certain fees, when you get a second opinion, you realize, guess what? There's an opportunity out there to save some money. Our goal pretty much is to make sure that we help out, especially those new businesses. We see it every day, and whenever we have an opportunity to help out, that leaves a special, a special feeling in our heart. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and our goal, and my personal goal, is to help out all those business owners. For me to be able to save you money so you have a different cash flow is very important. The main difference between the merchant and the treasury management is pretty much the merchant services compiles everything when it has to do with your credit cards, the way you receive a payment. The treasury management services helps you make the payments to others, maybe through collecting via ACH or sending automatic payments. Something as simple as how to protect your own business of fraud when it comes to getting positive pay. And definitely it's something that it cannot be answered in a short couple of minutes, but we are going to be here to help out. If anybody ever has to get more information about what Banco ZK can do for them, definitely, I'm just going to say it out there. They can reach me through Prospera, or definitely giving us a call. 305-763-8505 is my number. Najiri, 305-702-6830. But definitely, it's been a very educational moment, and definitely we'll keep Diane, in our loop, and definitely you, Isabel, to see any way that we can make sure that we build a partnership, a very long-lasting partnership. So, thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Thank you.
much,
And I
Harold.
lost you guys. I lost connection for a moment. I don't know. I'm not sure if you heard what I said, but I take it Harold covered everything. So
Yes.
thank you.
You have a great partner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Najiri and Harold. I would like to invite everyone to make an appointment with a consultant at Prospera at 786-329-5830. Please stay connected, develop a relationship with our organization and other organizations that also can help you to develop your business. I think it's been a great opportunity to have Deanne and Banco CK tonight, because you have the best of both worlds. Honestly, banking and marketing is the way to go when you start your own business. So please give us a call if you want to contact Deanne directly, or Harold or Najidi directly. I can definitely provide you with the contact information. And I hope to see you all soon, or talk to you soon over the phone. So thank you again, all of you, for being here tonight, and to the presenters.
Everybody have a
night.
fantastic evening.
Thank you so
And
much.
good luck. And good luck at those businesses.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.